Do you know who is the most talked about Mary? There are so many movies and books about her. However, Mary, Queen of Scots, can be a brave martyr in one book and an adulterous murderer in another. Yet, no one can deny the fact that she is brave, generous, intelligent, and beautiful. Mary was only 6 days old when her father, King James V, died. Lord Hamilton became the regent, and he betrothed Queen Mary to England's Prince of Wales, Edward Tudor. However, Scottish council rejected the proposal, which upset Henry VIII, and he immediately started attacks on the Scots. That is when King Henry II of France capitalized this opportunity and proposed on behalf of his son, Francis. This is the help of the Scots need, and a proposal they can't refuse. So Queen of Scots became the future Queen of France. If you think King Henry VIII can accept a defeat like this, you must be out of your mind. He was furious and burnt Scotland like no one has seen before. England also bribed many lords. Scotland survived only with the help from France, after several assassination attempts. Queen Mary's mother, Mary of Guise, sent Queen Mary to France for her protection. At the French court, Queen Mary won the hearts of everyone. Her mother kept her promise to her late father and treated his illegitimate sons as her own. She sent 2 of Queen Mary's half-brothers with her, and Mary had 4 little ladies-in-waiting, all named Mary. In a few years, Queen Mary grew to be the most beautiful princess in Europe. She is kind, sweet, and extremely intelligent. She speaks 6 languages, and by the age of 12, she finished all the learning designed for a 25-year-old. What more can a girl want? She is young, healthy, beautiful, and intelligent. She is the Queen of Scots and future Queen of France. She is adored by her father-in-law, loved by her husband-to-be, and protected by her powerful Guise family. Life couldn't be better. But when England's Queen Mary Tudor died, she became the first in line to succeed the English crown. I mean, if we don't count Princess Elizabeth, who was illegitimate in the eyes of the Catholic. That means Queen Mary of Scots is the next in line for the English throne, as her father, James V of Scotland, is the only grandson for Henry VII. That means King Henry II of France saw the death of Queen Mary Tudor as his chance to unite England, France, and Scotland. However, when he added English and Ireland to Queen Mary's coat of arms, he also made Queen Mary Queen Elizabeth's enemy. After Mary Tudor's unpopular reign, England can't welcome another Catholic queen called Mary. That's why King Henry made Mary sign a crown matrimony, which entitled Francis to retain the crown of Scotland if Mary died without an heir. However, King Henry II did not live long to see any of his plans bear fruits, as he died months later. The wedding took place, but Queen Mary soon lost her mother. And just a few months later, the young 18-year-old queen became Queen Dowager when Francis died suddenly. There were talks about Mary's state as Queen of France by marrying Francis's brother Charles. However, Queen Catherine de' Medici would not allow. Queen Mary had to return back to Scotland, a country she hardly knew. Scotland has changed during Queen Mary's happy years in France. Most nobles had turned Protestant when the peasants renamed Catholic. Before Queen Mary's return to France, Catholic lords pledged to fight to revert Scotland back to a Catholic country. But Queen Mary did not want to start a bloody civil war, so she agreed to practice her Catholic faith privately. She started her journey back home with Earl of Bothwell, the Lord Admiral of Scots. The Queen averted the English navy, but arrived to a country with no friends, but full of enemies. However, the young queen won the hearts of many with her beauty and wits. Although Scotland is not as strong as her neighboring England, Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth were the 2 crown jewels everyone dreamed to get. However, Queen Mary's choice of husbands were limited by religion and strength. She turned down the proposal from Archduke of Austria, as Austria can't be of any help to Scotland. Since she is legally the next in line for English succession, Queen Mary tried to have Queen Elizabeth to acknowledge her right. Although they never met, the two queens had many friendly correspondence, and Queen Elizabeth told Queen Mary that she will acknowledge her as her heir if she agrees to marry an English noble of her choice. Many wonder why Queen Mary wished to be a Queen of England when she did not even have a good grab on her Scotland. She knew her difficult Scottish noble would have more respect to the future Queen of England than the Queen of Scotland. Plus, being the heir of England could ensure peace by two countries for years to come. She replied to Queen Elizabeth that out of the three choices presented, she definitely is not interested in Robert Dudley. It is more likely that Queen Elizabeth never intended to name Queen Mary as her heir. As soon as Queen Elizabeth got Queen Mary's reply, she eliminated Duke of Norfolk and Lord Darnley, which left only one choice, Robert Dudley. Hesitantly, Queen Mary agreed, only to get the news that Queen Elizabeth would agree to name her the heir to her if she has no issue. That means she will offer the crown of Scotland to someone she did not want to marry, while waiting for Queen Elizabeth to find the man to have children with. Trying to build more allies in Scotland, she restored the estate and title of Lord of Lennox, her uncle who married her father's half-sister, Margaret Douglas. While when she met her handsome cousin Lord Darnley, Henry Stuart, she fell in love and gave her heart of the crown of Scotland to the young 18-year-old. Her evil half-brother, Lord of Moray, James Stuart, could not tolerate losing control over his sister, so he rebelled against the young couple with the other Protestant lords. Giving no chance of winning, Queen Mary fought with soldiers and won back the kingdom and the right to be with her husband. Unfortunately, the Henry Stuart Mary fell in love with disappeared in just a few months. He started drinking, arguing, and having affairs with others. 2 months into the marriage, Mary found out she was with child. During this difficult time, Henry not only fought for power with Mary, he grew increasingly upset over Mary's refusal to grant him crown matrimony, which is to give him the crown if Mary dies without heir. When Mary was 7 months pregnant, Henry brought in many Protestant lords, killed Mary's Italian secretary, David Rizzio. When Henry realized the true intention of the raids was to kill Mary and pin the blame on him, he changed sides. He begged Mary for forgiveness and escaped with Mary after he fooled the lords with the help of Bothwell. Mary defeated the Protestant lords and forced them to flee to England. A few months later, Prince James was born. Henry was upset and did not attend his son's baptism and left without telling Mary. However, he got sick on his way from Edinburgh to Glasgow. He was infected with syphilis. After losing health and Mary, Henry realized his mistake. He agreed to go back with Mary on Mary's promise to reconcile with him after his cure of the disease. However, the day before his final treatment is over, he was strangled in his garden. Darnley's death was such a blow, Mary was hardly herself. When she finally got better, she went to visit his son at Stirling Castle. However, on her way back, she was kidnapped by her most trusted friend, James Hepburn, Lord Bothwell. No Scottish lord came to rescue their queen, so Mary was raped and forced to marry Bothwell when she found herself pregnant. Before kidnapping Queen Mary, Bothwell got all the most powerful nobles to sign a bond, urging Mary to marry him. However, as soon as Bothwell and Mary married, they turned against them and called Mary and Bothwell the murderers of Darnley. The lords and their supporters surrounded Queen Mary and Bothwell. Bothwell offered to have a one-on-one fight instead of risk the life of soldiers. But Mary did not want to see another man die for her, so she voluntarily left with the lords who claimed they were there to rescue the queen. Bothwell was allowed to leave. Before his departure, he handed Mary the bond with a plot to kill Darnley. It was signed by Bothwell, Lord of Moray, and several powerful lords. Mary could not believe she married the man who killed her husband, but she swore to find justice. However, the paper was taken when Mary was imprisoned. Knowing that Mary already knew the real killers of the late consort, the Lords forced Mary to abdicate to her infant son. A few days later, she miscarried twin by Bothwell. Just when all hopes died, George Douglas, a young, handsome half-brother of Mary's evil half-brother James Stuart and Lord William Douglas, Mary's captor, fell in love with Mary and escaped. Shortly 6,000 men came to Mary's side and fought for her against Lord Moray. Mary's army was defeated and George died. Mary fled to England seeking help from her cousin Elizabeth. Her aunt and mother-in-law pleaded for Queen Elizabeth to sentence her to death. However, a trial was held. Mary was imprisoned based on falsified evidence against her. Many of Mary's supporters did not give up hope to rescue their queen. James Stuart, Earl of Moray, was assassinated. He became the first man assassinated by a gun in history. Darnley's father, Matthew Stuart, Lord of Lennox, took over as regent. He killed every noble loyal to Mary. However, he was assassinated, and George Douglas's brother, William Douglas, took over as regent. Although there were 3 regents in just a few years, they all made sure the young King James knew it was his adulterous mother who killed his father. During the long years Mary was held in England, her charm worked its way to the heart of 2 men. Duke of Norfolk was the Chief Justice overseeing her trial for Darnley's murder. They never met, but through correspondence, he fell in love with her and wished to marry her. Norfolk was the only duke in England at the time. However, he was put to Tower of London till he agreed to cut ties with Queen Mary. Unfortunately, when Queen Elizabeth found another letter from Norfolk to Mary, she ordered his execution. Another knight also tried to rescue Queen Mary, John Juan of Austria. He asked the Queen Elizabeth to release Queen Mary to be his wife. When Queen Elizabeth refused, he asked his brother for troops to attack England so he can rescue his queen. However, he fell ill when in Netherlands and never made it. The living condition for Queen Mary was getting worse and worse. Eventually, Queen Elizabeth signed her death warrant, and after 18 years of imprisonment, Queen Mary was ready to go.
Lass, what am I? What use has my life? I am but a body's whose heart's torn away, a vain shadow, an object of mystery who has nothing left but death and life. Enemies, set your envy all aside. I've no more eagerness for high domain. I bore too long the burden of my pain to see your anger swiftly satisfied. And you, my friends, who loved me so true, remember, lacking health, heart, and peace, there is nothing worthwhile that I can't do. I ask only that my misery should cease, being punished in a world like this. I have peace in my eternal bliss.
This is Morgan. I am a direct descendant of Queen Mary of Scots through my great-grandmother, Esther Stuart. Thank you for watching.